The Lean Product Playbook by Dan Olsen. Picture this. It's the height of the space race. The United States is pouring billions into the Apollo program, determined to land a man on the moon. Every single detail is being meticulously engineered, down to the smallest instrument. Then a problem arises, a simple one, but critical. How will the astronauts write in zero gravity? Here's the thing about normal ballpoint pens. They rely on gravity to pull the ink down onto the ball. In space, that ink would just float around uselessly. So NASA's contractors got to work. The Fisher Pen Company spent over $1 million of its own money developing a solution. After years of research, they invented something extraordinary: the space pen. It was a marvel of engineering, using a pressurized nitrogen cartridge to force the ink out. It could write upside down, underwater, on greasy surfaces, and of course, in the weightlessness of space. The perfect solution. Meanwhile, what were the Russians doing? They were facing the exact same problem. How did their cosmonauts record notes in orbit? They used a pencil. Now, this story is a bit of a legend, and the truth is more complex. Turns out pencil dust can be dangerous in a spacecraft. But the core lesson is one of the most powerful I've ever come across, and it's the very soul of the book we're exploring today, The Lean Product Playbook by Dan Olsen. It's a lesson about the difference between falling in love with a solution and falling in love with a problem. Most products, most companies, and even most personal projects fail, not because of lack of effort, money, or intelligence. They fail for one simple reason. They build something nobody wants. They create the $1 million space pen when all people really needed was a way to write. They build a magnificent solution to a problem that doesn't exist or that people don't care enough about. Dan Olsen has been in the trenches of Silicon Valley, working with giants like Facebook and Intuit. He's dedicated his life to fixing this. He's created a playbook, a step-by-step guide, not just for building products, but for discovering what people truly need and delivering it to them. Today I'm going to walk you through that playbook. By the end of our time together, you won't just understand why so many ideas fail. You'll have a clear, simple framework for making sure yours succeeds. Whether you're dreaming of starting a billion-dollar company, launching a small app, or even just starting a club at school, the principles we're about to uncover will give you the map you need to create something people will genuinely love. So let's begin. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had an idea that you were absolutely certain was brilliant? A world-changing app, a revolutionary business, a project that you just knew would be a massive success? We've all been there. We get so excited about our idea, about our solution, that we rush off to build it. We spend weeks, months, maybe even years, pouring our heart and soul into creating this perfect thing. And then we launch it. And crickets. Nobody signs up, nobody buys it, nobody cares. It's heartbreaking, and it's the unfortunate reality for the vast majority of new products. Dan Olsen saw this happen over and over again. He saw brilliant engineers and passionate entrepreneurs build incredible things that ultimately failed. And he asked the most important question: why? The answer he found is the cornerstone of his entire philosophy. The main reason products fail is because they never achieve something he calls product-market fit. It sounds like fancy business jargon, but the idea is incredibly simple and powerful. Product-market fit means being in a good market with a product that can satisfy that market. In even simpler terms, it means you've built something that creates significant value for people. You're meeting a real need in a way that's better than any other option out there. Think about the products you truly love. The ones you can't live without. Your iPhone, Spotify, Google Maps. They're not just well-designed. They solve a deep, fundamental need for you. That's product-market fit. It's the holy grail. When you have it, you can feel it. Customers are banging down your door. Your metrics are soaring, and you can't keep up with demand. When you don't have it, you can feel that too. Your marketing isn't working. Customers aren't sticking around, and the whole thing feels like you're pushing a giant boulder uphill. So the billion-dollar question becomes, how do you get it? This is where Olsen gives us our first tool, and it's a beautiful one. He calls it the product market fit pyramid. Imagine a pyramid split into two sections. The bottom section is the market, and the top section is the product. Your goal is to make these two sections fit together perfectly. Let's start at the very bottom, the foundation of the entire pyramid. This first layer is your target customer. You have to know, with crystal clarity, who you are building this for. It's not everyone. Everyone is no one. Is it for busy moms in their 30s? Is it for college students who love video games? Is it for small business owners who struggle with accounting? Every decision you make flows from this one. Different people have different needs. If you don't know who you're serving, you can't possibly know what they need. This leads us to the next layer up, still in the market section, the customer's underserved needs. This is the heart of the problem space. What are the pain points, the desires, the jobs to be done that your target customer has? And crucially, which of those needs are not being met well by the current solutions out there? This is where so many people go wrong. They enter a market where customers are already perfectly happy. You don't want to be the 47th personal finance app that does the exact same thing as the other 46. You want to find where people are frustrated, where they're settling, where they're using a clumsy workaround because nothing better exists. That's your opportunity. These two bottom layers, the target customer and their underserved needs, make up the market. They are the reality you cannot change. You can only understand them. Now we move to the top half of the pyramid, the product. This is what you build. The first layer of the product, sitting directly on top of the underserved needs, is your value proposition. This is your strategy. It's your plan for how you are going to meet those underserved needs better than anyone else. Your value proposition is what makes you different and valuable. It's not just a list of features, it's the promise of a benefit. Google's value proposition wasn't, quote, a search engine with a PageRank algorithm. It was the most relevant search results. Uber's wasn't an app with a map. It was the easiest way to get a ride. Strategy means saying no to 100 other things, so you can be the absolute best at the one thing that matters most to your target customer. Once you have your value proposition, you move up to the next layer, your feature set. These are the specific things your product will do to deliver on your value proposition. If your value proposition is to be the easiest way to share photos, your features might include one-click sharing to Instagram, automatic photo enhancement, and a simple gallery view. This is where you translate your what, the benefit, into the how, the functionality. And finally, at the very peak of the pyramid, is the user experience. This is the part everyone sees and interacts with. It's how your product looks and feels. It's the layout, the colors, the buttons. You could have the perfect value proposition and the perfect feature set, but if your app is ugly, confusing, and hard to use, you will fail. A great user experience brings the functionality to life and makes realizing the benefits feel effortless and even delightful. So there it is. The 5 layers: target customer, underserved needs, value proposition, feature set, and user experience. Product market fit is the connection between the bottom 2 layers, the market, and the top 3 layers, the product. It's how well your product satisfies the market. Now, just having a map is great, but you also need a process for following it, a way to climb the pyramid from the bottom up. And that's exactly what Olsen gives us next. He calls it the Lean Product Process, and it's a simple 6-step loop that will guide you from a vague idea to a product people love. The word lean here is important. It doesn't just mean cheap. It means minimizing waste. And the biggest form of waste in building anything is building something nobody wants. This process is designed to help you learn as quickly as possible with the least amount of effort, whether you're on the right track. Let's walk through the 6 steps. Step 1. Determine your target customer. This is the foundation. You start here. Instead of just having a vague idea like busy moms, Olsen encourages us to create something called a persona, A persona is a fictional character that represents your ideal customer. You give them a name, a photo, a job, goals, and frustrations. For example, if you were creating a health app for parents, you might create a persona named Lisa Bennett. Lisa is 32, a married elementary school teacher with 2 young children. Her photo shows her smiling, holding a coffee mug, looking friendly but a bit rushed. A quote under her picture says, "My children's health is my top priority, but raising 2 kids is a full-time job, so I need an easy way to stay on top of their prescriptions and medical appointments." Suddenly, you're not designing for a generic user, you're designing for Lisa. When you're debating a feature, you can ask, would this actually help Lisa? Or would it just add more clutter to her already busy life? A persona makes the customer real and keeps the entire team focused on solving a real person's problems. You don't just invent these personas out of thin air. You create them based on research. You go out and talk to real people who you think are your target customers. You ask them about their lives, their goals, and their struggles. These are called customer discovery interviews. The goal isn't to sell them on your idea. The goal is to listen and learn. Step 2. Identify underserved customer needs. Now that you have your persona Lisa, you need to dig deep into her needs. This is where you have to be a detective. People are often not very good at articulating their needs directly. Remember the famous quote attributed to Henry Ford? "If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." Customers talk in terms of solutions they already know. Your job is to listen to their frustrations and dig deeper to find the underlying problem. Olsen gives us a fantastic framework for this called the importance versus satisfaction framework. Imagine a simple chart. On the vertical axis, you have how important a need is to the customer, from low to high. On the horizontal axis, you have how satisfied they are with the current solutions, from low to high. This creates 4 quadrants. Low importance, low satisfaction, nobody cares, and the current solutions are bad. Don't waste your time here. Low importance, high satisfaction, nobody cares, but the current solutions are great. Definitely don't go here. High importance, high satisfaction, people care a lot, and the existing products are doing a great job. This is a tough, competitive market to enter, unless you have a truly disruptive innovation. Think of trying to compete with Microsoft Excel. High importance, low satisfaction. This is the jackpot. This is the sweet spot. People care deeply about this need, but they are frustrated and unhappy with all the current options. This is where true opportunity lies. Think about taxis before Uber. Getting a ride was a very important need, but the experience was often terrible. You didn't know when the car would show up, the drivers could be rude, and paying was a hassle. It was a market ripe for disruption because it was sitting squarely in that high importance, low satisfaction quadrant. Your goal in this step is to find those underserved needs for your target customer. Step 3. Define your value proposition. You've found the opportunity. Now, how are you going to seize it? This is where you define your strategy. You can't be the best at everything. You have to choose your battlefield. Olsen introduces us to a powerful tool for this called the Kano model. The Kano model categorizes customer needs into 3 types. First, there are must-haves. These are the basic expectations. If you're building a car, it has to have wheels and brakes. You don't get extra points for including them, but you are instantly disqualified if you don't. They are the table stakes. Second, there are performance benefits. For these, more is better. Things like gas mileage, horsepower, or in a software context, speed and storage capacity. This is where most competition happens. One company claims their car gets 30 miles per gallon, another claims 35. Third, and most exciting, are the delighters. These are the unexpected, innovative features that surprise and delight customers. They weren't expecting them, so they aren't disappointed if they're absent. But when they discover them, they are thrilled. Think of the first time you used Google Instant, where search results appeared as you typed. It was magical. It was a delighter. Your value proposition is your unique combination of these 3. you have to cover the must-haves. Then you choose which performance benefits you are going to compete on. Will you be the fastest, the cheapest, the most comprehensive? And finally, what unique delighters will you offer that nobody else does? A clear value proposition grid, where you map out your offerings against your competitors, forces you to be brutally honest about how you are truly different and better. Step 4. Specify your minimum viable product feature set. You now have a grand vision for your product. The temptation is to go and build all of it. But that would be a huge mistake. It would take too long, cost too much, and it's still based on hypotheses that haven't been fully tested. Instead, you want to identify the smallest possible version of your product that can deliver on your core value proposition and allow you to start learning from customers. This is the famous minimum viable product, or MVP. The key word here is viable. It's not just minimum. A skateboard is not an MVP for a car. An MVP is not just the first crappy version. Olsen shows a great diagram to explain this. Imagine building a product is like building a pyramid with 4 layers from bottom to top. Functional, reliable, usable, and delightful. The wrong way to build an MVP is to build just the functional layer for all your features. That gives you a big, clunky, unreliable product that nobody enjoys using. The right way is to build a smaller, narrower slice of the pyramid, but one that goes all the way to the top. Your MVP should have limited functionality, but that functionality should be reliable, usable, and even a little delightful. It should feel like a complete, polished experience, even if it only does 1 or 2 things. To decide what goes into your MVP, you brainstorm all the possible features that could deliver on your value proposition. Then you break those features down into smaller chunks. And here's a crucial step. You prioritize them based on return on investment. You estimate the customer value each chunk will create, and you estimate the effort it will take to build it. You're looking for the low-hanging fruit, the features that deliver high value for low effort. These become the core of your MVP candidate. Step 5. Create your MVP prototype. We're still not writing any code yet. Remember, we want to learn as fast as possible. The fastest way to test your ideas is not to build a full product, but to build a prototype. A prototype is a simulation of your product. It can be something as simple as a hand-drawn sketch on paper. It could be a digital wireframe, a simple black and white blueprint of your app's screens. Or it could be a high-fidelity, clickable mock-up that looks and feels almost exactly like the final product, but with no real code behind it. Tools like Envision, Figma, and Balsamiq make it incredibly easy to create these clickable prototypes. You can link screens together to create a happy path, the main flow you want a user to experience. This allows you to test your user experience, your information architecture, and your interaction design before a single line of code is written. It is infinitely cheaper and faster to change a design in a mock-up than it is to change a finished product. In this step, Olsen also walks us through the principles of great user experience design. He uses the analogy of a UX design iceberg. What you see on the surface, the visual design, the colors, fonts, and graphics, is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface lie the deeper, more critical layers: interaction design, how the product behaves; information architecture, how the content is organized; and the foundational conceptual design, the core metaphor of the product, like Quicken, using a checkbook. A great user experience requires excellence at all 4 layers, not just a pretty surface. Step 6. Test your MVP with customers. Now we come to the moment of truth. You take your prototype and you put it in front of real people from your target audience. This is where the rubber meets the road. This isn't about asking them, "Do you like it?" That's a useless question. People are generally nice and don't want to hurt your feelings. Instead, you conduct a proper usability test. You give them a task to accomplish without telling them how to do it. For example, imagine you want to share a photo with your family. Show me how you would do that using this prototype. And then you shut up and watch. It can be a painful, humbling experience. You'll see them get stuck. You'll see them click on the wrong thing. You'll hear them say, "Wait, what does this button do?" You are not there to help them or defend your design. You are there to observe and learn. Every point of confusion, every moment of frustration is a golden nugget of feedback. It's an opportunity to make your product better. Olsen recommends testing in waves of 5 to 8 customers at a time. After each wave, you synthesize what you've learned, revise your prototype, and then test again with a new group of people. This entire 6-step process is a loop. It's the hypothesize, design, test, learn loop. You start with a hypothesis about what will create value. You design a prototype to test that hypothesis. You test it with customers. You learn from their feedback. And you use that learning to form a new, better hypothesis for the next cycle. With each turn of the crank, you get closer to product-market fit. You might discover that a feature you thought was critical is actually unimportant. You might discover a new, urgent need that you had completely overlooked. Your ratings for value and ease of use should steadily climb from one wave to the next. Sometimes you'll find that you're just not making progress. You're stuck. Your users are lukewarm. This is where you face a tough decision: persevere or pivot. A pivot is not a small tweak. It's a significant change in direction. It's a change in one of your fundamental hypotheses. Maybe you realize you have the wrong target customer. Maybe your value proposition is off. The photo-sharing app Flickr famously started as an online game. The game wasn't working, but they noticed people loved the photo-sharing tool they had built into it. They pivoted, focused entirely on photos, and became a massive success. A pivot isn't a failure. It's a course correction based on validated learning. Once you have iterated and pivoted your way to a prototype that consistently gets rave reviews from your target customers, when they say, "Wow, this is amazing. When can I get this?" that's when you finally have the confidence to move on. That's when you build the real thing. Olsen dedicates the final part of his book to what happens next. He explains how to build your product using agile development. This means you build the product in small, incremental pieces, in short cycles called sprints. This allows you to continue learning and adapting even after you've started coding. And once your product is launched, you enter a new phase of learning. You can now use analytics. Analytics are the quantitative data, the numbers, that tell you what your users are actually doing in your product. Qualitative user testing tells you why people do things. Analytics tells you what they do and how many of them do it. One of the most important metrics to track is your retention rate. This measures what percentage of your customers are still actively using your product over time. A retention curve that flattens out over time, instead of dropping to zero, is the strongest quantitative signal you can have that you've achieved product-market fit. It means you've built something that has become a lasting part of people's lives. You use analytics to identify the metric that matters most for your business right now. You create the equation of your business to understand how different levers, like acquiring new users, converting them, and retaining them, all fit together. And you use techniques like A/B testing to scientifically experiment with changes and optimize your product for growth. But at its heart, the entire playbook comes back to that one simple foundational idea. It's not about your brilliant solution. It's not about your amazing technology. It's about a deep, humble, and relentless focus on the customer and their underserved needs. It's about having the discipline to test your ideas, the humility to accept when you're wrong, and the courage to iterate your way to a product that truly matters. As we come to the end of our journey through the Lean Product Playbook, I want to take a moment to reflect on what makes this book so profoundly useful. In a world filled with abstract business theories, Dan Olsen has given us something rare, a practical, step-by-step manual for innovation. It's not just a collection of ideas. It's a recipe, and it's a recipe that works. The most powerful lesson for me is the shift in mindset it demands. It teaches us to move from being an inventor, locked away in a workshop perfecting a creation, to being a scientist out in the world running experiments. An inventor falls in love with their solution. A scientist falls in love with the pursuit of truth. The lean product process is a method for finding the truth about what customers really want. It's a process built on humility. It forces you to confront the humbling reality that your initial ideas are probably wrong. Not completely wrong, perhaps, but incomplete. It requires you to listen more than you talk, to observe more than you direct, and to value learning over being right. In a culture that often celebrates the myth of the lone genius who intuits a brilliant product out of thin air, Olsen reminds us that greatness is almost always the result of a messy, iterative process of trial, error, and feedback. The product-market fit pyramid is such an elegant and powerful mental model. It gives you a structure for your thinking. Before I encountered this framework, I, like many others, would often jumble up ideas about features, target markets, and business models. The pyramid forces you to build from a solid foundation. Are you clear on your target customer? No? Then don't even think about features yet. Do you understand their underserved needs? No? Then stop designing mock-ups. It instills a discipline that prevents you from building a beautiful castle on a foundation of sand. So how can you start applying this today in your own life? You don't need to be a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. Here's a simple action you can take. The next time you have an idea for anything, a school project, a YouTube channel, a new way to organize your room, take out a single sheet of paper. Don't open your laptop. Don't start designing. Just take out that piece of paper and at the top, write down your answers to two simple questions. 1. Who, specifically, is this for? Your target customer. 2. What important problem do they have that isn't being solved well right now? Their underserved need. Just by forcing yourself to answer those two questions, you are already practicing the core of the lean product process. You are starting in the problem space. You are putting the customer, not your solution, at the center of the universe. It's a small step, but it's the beginning of a journey that can lead to creating something truly remarkable. That was a summary of the Lean Product Playbook by Dan Olsen. We've covered the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only show you the map. The real adventure happens when you take the journey yourself. The true value of this book is in the details, the specific examples, and the deep-seated wisdom that comes from an author who has lived these principles. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about has sparked a fire in you, if it has made you look at your own ideas in a new light, then I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a process, it's about internalizing a mindset that can genuinely change how you bring ideas to life. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please do me a small favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Every subscription helps us continue our mission of bringing the world's most powerful ideas to you. Let's keep learning and growing together.